once again, if any female on the planet has a problem with me, I strongly recommend her to go to the police and try and pursue me for criminal charges. It's actually very interesting that me, one of the most famous people in the world, who's been vilified by the legacy media and places all over the internet, while everyone has attacked me from every single angle, while federal agencies from multiple countries have called over 2,000 women who know me, we stand here with 0 new accusations since my arrest. 0. If you took any famous person, any man of substantial wealth, and you called 2,000 women who knew him, he'd find an ex-girlfriend is upset, somebody who wants money who's upset. They called 2,000 people who knew me and could not find a single woman to make a new complaint. The only complaints they have against me are the initial complaints, which we can prove are lies, and that's where it stands. So I'm not going to sit here and allow you to pretend that I'm some kind of evil predator, when actually I'd argue the fact that people who've been investigated to the level I've been investigated to, if you were to take the average man on the street and investigate his entire life for 14 months, call everyone who's ever known him, and vilify him in the media, and encourage people to come forward for money, and you try to contact every ex-girlfriend he's ever had.
Would come forward and accuse those people of rape and accuse those
I
people
think that you would have a lot more. I think you would have a lot more flack than I've got. I'm actually such a nice person.
The BBC has spoken to somebody since your arrest who says exactly those things, that with you it's all manipulation, there's an ulterior motive.
Is this Sophie?
Everything
is this Sophie? Oh, it's Sophie, the fake name, no face, the story that was invented.
Wanting to please him and wanting him to be happy, that I was just kind of, yeah, okay, do whatever you want.
And what is she accused? Has she accused me of a crime, this imaginary Sophie?
She's making the point that there is.
Has she accused me of a crime?
Emotional or psychological manipulation.
I've asked you a question and I've allowed you into my house.
I'm asking you a question.
Correct, but you're not the boss here because I've allowed you into my house.
I'm asking you the question.
Correctly, and I'm telling you.
You get to decide the answers.
No, we're equal here. I've allowed you into my house. You don't come here with a position of authority. I'm doing you the favor as legacy media, giving you relevance by speaking to you. And I'm telling you now, this Sophie, which the BBC has invented, which there's no face of, nobody knows who she is.
The BBC did not invent.
Of course not. And because you never invent anything.
Andrew Tate. That guy is fire. But although I have to say this right, his point about who is the boss and who isn't the boss is really totally not necessary. He accepted the BBC into his house. He knew why he did that. He knew what he stands to benefit from doing that. Okay, that was why he accepted to have the interview with them. So there was no point pointing out who was the boss and who wasn't the boss. And the interviewer is there to ask questions for him to answer, not the other way around. Now, people might want to have a very friendly conversation and they might bounce question back and forth, right? That is normal in certain situations. But the interviewer asks the question and the interviewee answers the question. That's how it is supposed to go. And one more thing about the BBC, I think the BBC has lost a lot of credibility that no one is taking them seriously anymore. I remember when I was growing up, that was like maybe 15 years ago. I used to follow the BBC, I used to watch them like from morning till night. I used to listen to them on the radio all the time. I used to get most of my news from the BBC because I'm someone who has always been in love with the news. I like to know what is going on out there. So I have always followed the BBC. Even though they were not like totally truthful with their information or forthcoming, but at least they tried to balance it up. But recently they've just gone totally out of the way. Like they have not become like the arm of the government. They are now in Africa asking stupid questions that have nothing to do with the Africans. They are now in the Middle East trying to tell people about democracy and rule of law and how they are the champions of freedom of speech when they are jailing Julian Assange for speaking out. When non-miking protesters are being arrested. So how can you come and tell someone that you believe in all these things, freedom of expression, freedom of speech, human rights, where people can clearly see that the country that you are in is not a believer of what you are saying? Now, the BBC has become a joke. Nobody takes them seriously anymore. Everyone just feel like, whatever. That is what they have become. A joke. But let's continue.
And she's not filed criminal charges against me. What are we talking about here? What is she saying?
Talking about emotional manipulation
Has
into
she-
the sex industry for your financial gain.
Absolute garbage. She has not filed criminal. This person, if they exist, has not filed criminal charges against me. I welcome anybody who believes I've harmed them, male or female, any point in the past, to file criminal charges against me. I will fight them. I know who I am, and I know what I've done, and I know the truth, and I know that I'll be found innocent of this attack. The reason I'm being attacked is because of my massive influence, not because I've ever hurt anybody. And for you to sit here and say that everybody around you is saying you're innocent, but that doesn't matter because the state will say they're victims, and they're just going to grab everybody you know and call everybody victims, even if they say they're not, and try and put you in jail. You are describing a matrix attack. You're not describing human trafficking.
When it comes to emotional manipulation and coercion, right, I think these are one of those baseless claims that anyone can make. Like, how can you actually prove it? That you were emotionally manipulated into doing something that you don't want to do? How can you really prove it? As an adult, how can you really prove it? And when women want to come against you, when women want to accuse you, that's what they use. I have always had problem with people as a whole who, when something is going on with them, due to their own selfish reason or selfish motive, do not speak out. And after they must have gotten what they wanted, they start speaking out. I have found that to be a very, very cowardly way of doing things. When something is going on, speak out. When something is going on that you think is inappropriate or some unwanted advances from somebody, speak out. Tell them no or report them to the authorities. Don't stay there and take it because you want to gain something. And after you must have gained what you wanted, you start speaking out. That was what I said during the Me Too movement, when those ladies came out and were accusing people of sexual harassment and the rape and whatsoever. It wasn't like I was being encouraging to people being harassed or abused. That wasn't my point. My point was like, you were there when this thing was happening. You guys were not children that didn't know what was going on. You guys were full grown-up adults. But since you guys had something that you guys wanted, you guys stayed quiet and just move along. That is shameful. If you guys would have spoken out back then, do you know how many people would have been saved? You were being taken advantage of, but you did nothing. You said nothing because you were worried about your career. You wanted to pursue your career. Your career was more important than your dignity. And when you've become famous, when you've make a lot of money, and when everyone has heard and seen your movies, you start saying that you were being harassed 20 years ago. This and this person harassed me 10 years ago. This and this person was bad to me. They did a lot of sexual advancement towards me that I did not appreciate 5 years ago. 5 years ago, and you're talking now? Come on. Come on. What are we doing? What are we really doing? Don't you think it was necessary for you to have said it when it was going on? Why now? Why are you saying it now? Why? When something is going on, say something. When people are taking advantage of you, when people are trying to do things that you do not like, say something. Don't be quiet. Don't stay there and take it. But you guys out there, what do you think about this BBC interview with Andrew Tate? Do you think that the interviewer is right to be this pushful so that he can get Andrew Tate to tell us the truth? Is this setting the right place for us to really try to get the truth out of him? Don't you think that it's very risky for him to be discussing an ongoing case with an international media? What does he stand to gain by discussing this with the BBC? Let us know in the comment section below, because like always, we love hearing what you have to say. And also, please do not forget to like this video, share this video, follow our Facebook page, and most importantly, subscribe to this channel, because little bit of goodwill, like the one you're doing just now, help us a lot, and we shall forever be grateful to you. So thank you very much for doing just that. And like always, see you in the next one.